Assalamu alaikum. I thought I'd make a video on Zaidi concept of Imamat. Basically, Zaidis separate Imams into two types: those with designation from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those without designation. So, regarding those with designation, it's basically anyone who the Prophet has clearly indicated um, is an imam. So obviously, the Aqid of the Zaydis is Imam Ali was appointed by the Prophet, and that's because the evidence is wide, it's mass transmitted, it's amongst all the sects, and I went through it in my previous Aqida video. But then below that is the appointment of Hassan and Hussein, and the evidence isn't as strong and it isn't as wide, and it's limited to more um, uh, hadiths that are a bit more difficult to find in the Sunni corpus, such as Hassan and Hussein are imams while standing and sitting. But there are also some indications within the Sunni corpus, and there's within the Shia corpus, there's more clear examples. So although they are by us, they're not generally included in the Aqidah of Zaydis because the evidence is not as clear. You could argue some more of an implicit appointment. After that, what Zaidi say is the Ahlul Bayt still need to be followed because the Prophet said he left us with two things: the Quran and his Ahlul Bayt. And in some of the versions, he mentions his Itra, and in the Itra is the progeny, the descendants of the Prophet. So, how do you follow the Itra? So, the Zaydis to identify a Imam who hasn't been designated by the Prophet, extract the conditions from the Quran mostly and from the Sunnah. So, the Hadith of them being of the Ahlul Bayt being followed. This is what limits it to them being the descendants of Ali and Fatima. Beyond that, they have to have an open call because just like prophets, you cannot hide the deen, you cannot prevent people from learning it. You must tell the truth. So there's no real concept of taqiyya for imams in Zaidi. I mean, the average person can do taqiyya to save his own life, and that's just more common sense. The other conditions are they should be knowledgeable in Quran, in Sunnah, in fiqh, and in all the aspects of Deen. And another condition is he must be strong in body, and must be well and able to act out his duties. Now, the open call part is important because often Zaydis are strawmanned into saying that, oh, look, it's only those who declare jihad and war. No, it's any kind of open call. So there are imams who openly call people to fight and uh, rebel against the tyrant, but also there are imams who are invited to become imams, like Imam Abdullah bin Yahya, who was called to Yemen, and he did participate in fights later, but his imamate was just established with an open call and the people accepting him. So that, in a nutshell, is Zaidi Imamat. To try and for me to give an analogy, the closest thing you'd have is probably 12 Marja, who are both religious leaders and political leaders, just like Ayatollah Khamenei, who is a Sayyid. He's from the Ahlul Bayt. He's a political leader. He's a supreme leader of a state, and he's a religious leader as well. He issues fatwas and doctrines and fiqh books. He does. So that essentially is what a Zaidi Imam is. Obviously, the only difference is that. Twelve Murja would never claim to be an Imam himself because he has the concept of his own 12 Imams. But from a practical sense, the system that Iran kind of establishes with their Murja system and their political system, that is kind of a sort of a copy paste version of what Zaidi Imamat would be. Any questions about Zaidi Imamat? Please feel free to ask, and yeah, that's all for now.